Hi there, I'm Dark Shades and I'm broadcasting out of the UK. And welcome to my channel. First time you're passing through, I do try to stick to relationships and all aspects of relationships. And sometimes I deviate a little bit, but you have to bear with me. So today there's been, I just decided to do this video today because there's been so much talk about Lovers Rock recently until it's like information overload. But I haven't heard anyone speak about why Lovers Rock was so special and why, and I think, I can't even say why Lovers Rock was so special because Lovers Rock is an era and Lovers Rock kind of encompassed different genres within that era because we had the Lovers Rock, which we called Lovers, and then we also had the roots reggae, where you think about Aswad and Congos and the Abyssinians and all of that. And then you had a separate posse or genre that had to do with the dub and all that kind of stuff. But when we're thinking about Lovers Rock, for the majority of women, we're talking about lovers. And so we'll take the rock out of it for now and we'll just talk about lovers. And we have to ask ourselves, which is the most serious thing, was dancing the way we did, was it appropriate? I mean, I was talking to my daughter the other day and I was saying to her, it's really difficult to justify how we used to dance. And she said, I understand because sometimes, when a man held me to dance, he would hold me in such a way I felt uncomfortable. And I mean, there might be women out there who had men try to masturbate on them while they were dancing on the floor. And it throws that question out there. How appropriate was it to have sex with our clothes on the dance floor? Because in essence, that is what we were doing. We were having sex on the dance floor with our clothes on. And it wasn't far removed from the real thing. Because you could be with someone and, next thing you know, you don't know them, they're strangers. And like I've said in previous videos, you're strangers, but you feel like lovers, or strangers who became lovers. Next thing you know, they're kissing on your forehead, they're kissing on your nose, they're kissing on your neck, and you're feeling so bloody good. And you're winding up in this way, your hips are gyrating to the music, and you're lost in that moment. And what makes that possible? What makes it right that individuals, strangers, can allow themselves to be so intimate with a stranger on a dance floor in a public place? I mean, you get some people, they chastise, some of these Jamaican dancehall artists who are really kind of, you might say they're crass because, they're so graphic. And the fact that Lovers was so sensual and it was done in such a more gentle way doesn't make it any less provocative and sexual. Because I've been trying to take the sex out of Lovers. When I talk about it, I kind of say, oh, well, they sexualize it. And when I was talking about Steve McQueen's film, I was saying, oh, they're sexualizing Lovers Rock. But it was sexual. There's no ifs and buts. And the thing is, if it was sexual, you could actually say that the man who took that girl out to the back was justified in doing so, even though it didn't happen, because the men of our era, well, I can't say it didn't happen. I don't know if it happened. It might have happened for that story to come about, but the fact that you are actually titillating a man or teasing a man till he actually gets a hard-on, because that's what happened a lot of times. Men would get hard-ons. And the next thing you know, you're trying to wind up on a hard-on sometimes. Some women, they'd walk off. Some women, they would stay with it and get a kick out of watching the man lose control. And when you think about that, when you think about that moment when you're with a strange man and you're winding up on him, or what they say, crubbing up, or what they say, scrubbing up, or rubbing down wallpaper, or wine and grind, or bending up your back, or whatever they used to say, it doesn't take away from the fact, was it appropriate? Why did we need to do that? Sometimes you'd find the baddest man, rough and ready and serious enough. And once he's in the arms of a woman, he's like butter. And I don't know if it's with my counselling hat on, but I kind of felt that we as young people in that era, we grew up with parents who weren't very nurturing, the majority of us. They were the kind of the strict parents, come from the Windrush, and their focus was on work. As far as you're concerned, it's school, it's housework, polishing the floor, cleaning up the plates, washing down the doors, washing down the windows. That's what we were there for. We were like, slaves in a sense. All we were there for was to work. And if you did get, your parents would rush you out to work so that you could bring in a little money to help them pay their bills. But for the most part, there wasn't nurturance, there wasn't love, they loved you, but it wasn't demonstrated. So I believe that without us knowing, a lot of us went into that dance hall seeking that warmth and that nurturing and that feeling of feeling special when you're chosen. You have to say when you're chosen, because you'd make the eye contact, you'd hope that it would be reciprocated, because that's what used to go on. With me and my little pussy, if I saw a man that I liked, and you see how my eyes them dreamy, them used to call me pussy, right? And if I saw a man, when I was going to Four Aces, I'll never forget this. I went to Four Aces once and I saw this guy, and he was by the sound system. I don't know if he was a part of the sound system, but he was by the sound system. And I remember saying to my friend, you know what? I got to dance with that man. I never spoke like that, but I said, I'm going to get that man over there. I'm going to get him to dance with me. And they said, oh, no, you're not. Oh, no, you're not. I said, I bet you. Anyway, I made eye contact with that man, right? And I didn't do it persistently. I did it kind of, every now and then I'd turn my eyes away, and every now and then I'd give him the eye, and then two-twos. Next thing you know, we wrap up for the night. You're dancing all night. And then, from that, you end up having relationships with these people you don't even bloody know. And the funny thing is, I know people who are in relationships from back then until now, 50 years later. It's about chemistry. It's about, sometimes you would choose right. Sometimes I didn't have a good eye back then. There was something, I used to like men that looked mischievous or that looked kind of tricky, and they usually were. But the fact of the matter is that it was a time where you as women, we were in control, but men thought that they were in control. It's really kind of weird, because we would be selecting who we wanted to dance with, really. Women would go up there and they'd know who they wanted to dance with. And if anybody came over to them who wasn't in that kind of, I won't say bubble, but in that kind of periphery, they'd probably say, oh no, my feet are hurting, oh no, I'm not ready to dance yet. Whatever they used to say, no, I don't want to dance, because they had their eye on someone. Meanwhile, the man would think that he is choosing the woman, and he's going around in like a circle like a lion, closing in on the prey. Next thing you know, the two of you lock down. But what I'm saying is that it's fulfilling a need. Having someone put their arms around you. We all know how good a hug feels. A lover's dance is a hug 10 times over. Because what comes with it is your expertise. it's not no, it's not any and anybody you can dance with in a certain way. There were certain men who knew how to navigate the body, and there were certain women who knew how to respond to that navigation. And it wasn't any and anybody. And that's why you would find one man, he would dance with one woman, he'd walk off. He'd dance with another woman, he'd walk off. He'd dance with another woman and walk off, and then he'd come to me and steal luck. That's a bit of an exaggeration. Well, no, it's not an exaggeration. But my point is that you have to know how to move. And I don't know how many of you saw that Lovers Rock story. The film is by Menelik Shabazz. And the guy says, but hey, you ain't moving. And that's what it was like. You know, you didn't have to move. It was like magnetism. It was like the two bodies locked. And regardless of how the music went, the two bodies were synchronized. They just knew which way to go. And it was very, very rare you could find, well, not maybe very, very rare, but it was rare that you would find somebody who synchronized with you in that way to the music. And all I'm saying is that those Lovers Rock dances, they weren't just dances. They were therapy. They made you feel good. They made you feel loved. They made you feel whole. And whether it was fart them, I tell you, or not, they could tell you anything till the cows come home. It didn't matter. For that moment, when you're in that person's arms, you felt loved. And whether he was pulling one on you and then he was dancing with somebody else at another dance, it didn't matter. Those men knew how to make you feel special. And that's what it was about. And that's what women went to lovers dance for. To feel special, to get a little bit of that they were lacking at home. That lack of nurturance that they didn't get at home. They would find it in the arms of very attractive, sweet-smelling men who look good. And, you know, it was therapy. And most of our men were two-timing. They were going out with your best friend. They were going out. And so when we used to sing out, not to the whole song, but when we used to sing to the melody, we were actually expressing our pain and, empathizing with the singing. We knew that we were all in the same boat. There wasn't anybody taking the pee out of someone. There wasn't anybody kind of saying, oh, look, our relationship mash up. Because by and large, everybody's man was with somebody else. It was almost like it was normal. Fidelity was a no-no. Man, I shoved key through door 3 o'clock in the morning after he's just left his woman yard. And you could screw up till the cows come home. You could shoot up your mouth. And some women were afraid to shoot up their mouth, because if they shoot up their mouth, they know that the man can go back to the woman he's just left. So a lot of us, we would just kind of grin and bear it. But, you know, it is interesting how integral bringing the whole thing together, and how, you know, just being in the arms of somebody did lead to a relationship, because invariably you'd go home with that person, you'd end up making love with that person, you'd end up seeing that person again and again and again and again, and the baby would come and you'd end up living together, and it became a relationship. That dance led to a relationship. It didn't stop in the dance hall like it does today. It was almost like you had to make sure that whoever you danced with, you was attracted to, because that person would be who you would be having a relationship with. That's the way it kind of worked out. And the funny thing is that when it was dark and you was responding to a person's body as opposed to what they look like, you know, it didn't really matter while the light was off. But when the light went on, and you realise you was responding to someone you weren't physically attracted to, that would cause a problem, because you're thinking to yourself, no, this isn't a person I want to have a relationship with. He's fine to dance with, but I don't want to have a relationship with him. Whereas the man would be thinking, why am I have a nice dance with this woman? You know, she's a nice man, and we click and blah, blah, blah. But the reality of it is that women used to know who they wanted. And they knew from the moment they entered the dance hall who they wanted. And like I said, you know, I remember going to one of these dances and I was dancing with this guy. Well, I saw him and he wasn't even my type. He was really, really tall, really good looking and red. And I don't go for red man, I go for black man. And he was tall and he was red and he was in a suit and sharp and, you know, skiffle haircut. And I saw him and I was so shocked because he looked like he could be my brother. And I thought to myself, oh, bloody hell, he looks good. Anyway, the two of us, I don't know, I think, didn't dance straight away, but I did give him eye contact. I think I just gave him eye contact because I was kind of shocked. Because he was not my type, but I was still attracted to him. There was something about his aura. And the thing is that he looked over to me. Anyway, next thing I know, he's dancing with somebody else. So I just put him out of my mind. And, you know, whatever I did, I don't know if I danced with somebody else or whatever. I was always dancing. Anyway, 2 2s, this man come and dance with me. And we were locked. We were locked until 7 o'clock, daylight. 7 o'clock daylight, this woman comes over and says, I'm going home now. And he just nodded. He said, all right then, I'll talk to you later. And I'm like, so who's that then? Oh, is the woman I came with. I'm like, what? How come you came with a woman and you've been dancing with me all night? But that's how it was. Men were brazen. And women didn't even bloody care. So ordinarily, me as with my morals, I would have ordinarily said, well, forget it, you're here with a woman. I'm not dancing with you. But no, I didn't do that. I'm thinking, oh my God, he sent her home. She's going home by herself and he's staying with me. Oh, I must be special. Oh, I was in my element. But that's what it was, you know, when you think of the dance. That's what it felt like. It just made you feel special. It made you feel loved. You didn't know this man from Adam, but some of these men made you feel as though you were the best thing since sliced bread. They would tell you a whole heap of crap, but you'd believe it because you wanted to and because you didn't have it from anywhere else. You weren't getting that validation at home. You wasn't getting that validation at school. You know, many of us felt like lost sheep. And so you was in a dance hall where men look good, where women look good. And that was what brought us together. The music. The music was the therapy. The music was our counselling, to be honest. It was such a therapeutic moment. And we left there feeling great. I hope I explained it very well. And that's all for now. Bye-bye.